On this Gun Talk Hunt, we're talking with Matt Johnson, everybody's favorite Gun Talk member, and we're covering the map. We're going from turkey season to new gear and everything in between. Hey, I'm KJ, dedicated lifelong hunter here. If you got an interest in all things hunting, you're in the right spot. Whether chasing quail across the plains of Oklahoma or in pursuit of elk in the backcountry of British Columbia, you'll always find me on the hunt. All right, welcome in Gun Talk Hunters. I'm your host, KJ, and this episode is brought to you by Ruger. Yep, they're doing a little bit of everything right now. They're doing it dang good, so go check them out, Ruger.com. And Leupold, if you want good glass, you're going to start there. You see a gold ring on a gun, and you know it's good glass. So Leupold.com, go give them a check. Today's going to kind of be I bet we jump all over the map. I think we're going to go from deer season to SHOT Show to turkey season coming up. But I've got everybody's favorite Gun Talk hunter, everybody's favorite Gun Talk employee, Matt Johnson. Matt, how you doing, buddy?
I'm doing well. How you doing, KJ?
I'm doing good. I can't complain. Good. I mean, I'm here. I made it through another hunting season, looking towards the next. And I will tell you this, we've got a lot of applications. Application season is upon us. So I'm kind of looking at that process going, where do I want to go?
Yeah, it's every year it kind of it catches my eye more and more. But I have to say, as a guy who keeps watching it, it seems to be getting easier to look at and understand in terms of, oh, these are what's up, because so many people and platforms are like, hey, we're here to help guide you through the application process, in terms of just being able to find what's due when and where. But, not like, heaven forbid, not like it was 5 years ago when we had to hunt and peck all the game and fish sites ourselves.
Oh, geez. 5 years ago, man. Like years ago, I was like calling wildlife departments and finding out. I mean, and of course, I know there was probably easier ways to do it, but that's just where I started. Like I would be like, okay, knew. Yeah. Right. I mean, applications for hunting isn't that difficult. A good buddy of mine, and I mentioned him a couple weeks ago, but Darren, he was like, hey, I kind of want to do antelope. And I was like, okay, I'll walk you through the entire process. And so I gave him a step-by-step, like, hey, go into this, apply here. He ended up going on a hunt with me. And he was successful. Man, he was a hunter. Right. He was good. Yeah. He knew his stuff. But that was his first I think that was his first experience out of state. And if you're looking at traveling out of state to hunt, it's not all that difficult once you figure out the processes and once you get an area dialed in. I mean, with the mapping systems they got now, I think I've used Basecamp. I'm using Onyx. I've used Onyx for multiple years. I like their mapping system. It's pretty easy.
Yeah, I'd say if I'm traveling out of state, that's the one that I kind of lean on because I can pull up each individual states. For here in Minnesota and just the ground that I know, I like the Hunt Stand app. Because of just so many things I can do. And more so, what I like about that is the quick ease of being able to find the landowner's name and stuff. So as I'm looking, you mentioned turkey season. So every year in Minnesota here, the turkey season license has changed a bit over the lifetime of hunting. And now this year, and maybe this happened a year before, I don't know, but it's completely over the counter. You buy a tag and the tag is good for anywhere in the state the entire season. So I know there's a number of listeners who are like, what do you mean? That's how it is in our state. Well, in Minnesota, it hasn't been that way. It's always been 1 week seasons and so on. I won't get into the details, but so now I'm looking at my Hunt Stand app even more on property owners because the entire state is at my fingertips, where before I had a certain zone and I had a certain week. So it's like, I would just hone in on that space for me.
Man, that seems like a lot of the old way to do it seems like a lot of work. I mean, I couldn't imagine being restricted to one zone, because one cool thing about, and I apologize, I said Basecamp, I meant Base Map. I think it's Base Map.
Sure.
But there are a lot of services that help you, but like in Oklahoma, one of the coolest, like if you were restricted, let's say in Oklahoma, you're restricted to this turkey unit or whatever,
Hmm.
man, that closes you off a lot because in the state of Oklahoma, you can kill Miriam's in the panhandle, you can kill Rio's, central, western, and then you can go and you can kill Easterns in eastern Oklahoma. So you can get 3 of your slam in Oklahoma.
Right.
And
See,
that's
in Minnesota, that's all, and that's awesome. Being able to do that. Now, Minnesota, we're not as diverse as you. I mean, but in a lot of ways, but we've got Easterns here, and so. But for me,
I
where
hate
I deer
Easterns.
hunt, the property I hunt on, literally the major highway next to me separates 2 turkey zones, or it used to at least. And
No
so
kidding.
it cut our hunting ground literally in half. And it's like, well, where do we want to go? So it's now opened it up, so it's much nicer that way. But anyway,
Oh yeah,
that's
and having those app-based programs
correct.
at your fingertips, because I know Onyx they do the mapping to where you can find landowners and stuff like that. At least
Yep.
like where applicable. But
Right.
there's a certain amount of like sleuthing, online
Mm-hmm.
sleuthiness, I guess, that goes into like. I guess you're kind of creeping on them because you're trying to find a phone number where you can contact them, and that's not always readily available. Or
No.
sometimes it's an address. Sometimes just knocking on the door will help.
Well, and the landowners are starting to get the good landowners are getting savvy to it too, and they're putting post office boxes as the primary address. So you look up and it's like, oh, it's Steve Klein at post office box. And it's like crap.
Yep. It's like, dang it.
Now I really got to put my
that is
Sherlock Holmes
a
hat
heads
on.
up to landowners. So I do have to tell you this, that I'm not going to be able to get to do it because work has to get done. But so the landowner that I have one lease from calls me the other day and he goes, hey, the helicopter is going to be out there. And I just wanted to see if it's cool if the helicopter runs over, the property where you lease to hunt coyotes and hogs. And I was like, oh my gosh, like, yes, yeah, have them run over it. But he was like, yeah, it's like $450 an hour if you want to, ride along, and they provide the gun and the ammo. And I was like, man, whoever's running that chopper better be a skilled pilot.
No joke.
I mean, but yeah, so what they do, and this is pretty smart. And I told them, I was like, clear the area out of coyotes. I was like, get rid of all of them because we're overrun, and being, 11, 12 hours away from your hunting
Yeah.
property, you can't get out there every other weekend to hunt and call and do good predation control.
Right.
So when he approached me about that, I was like, yeah, hit that property. And also here's some more that you can hit, like hit all of it.
Right.
But I don't know how that works. Cause yeah, it was an interesting thought because $450 per hour. I don't know what it costs to like take a chopper out, but if he's got the chopper full every hour of the day, and if he runs, full 8 hours, like you got to be making some money.
I would think that covers plenty of what runs the cost of that chopper for sure.
I don't know. I mean, I would want more invested in the time it's spent for him to gain that license and experience than the gas. Like that's what I'm worried about.
Absolutely. So,
but yeah, that's a great way to get ready to control, and I'm actually fixing to go on a coyote hunt down in South Texas.
Right.
And it'll be interesting. I'm kind of looking forward to it, but talking about predation control, I was talking to a trapper, and he had this device, it was motion censored. And so what he would do was he would bury this sensor, and what he wanted to do is get a coyote to stick its nose in there, and it would spritz a little, I forget what the chemical agent was to kill him quick, but it would basically give him a little spritz. It was so interesting to me because I was like, what in the heck is that? But the best,
that's intriguing.
Yeah. So like a coyote goes, sticks his
Right.
he goes to this thing, sticks his nose in, motion censored, spritzes him. He sniffs it in and goes, "Holy crap! I feel woozy." Falls over and he's dead.
And then it falls over, he's gone.
It's like cyanide. I think it was cyanide. But I was like, well, how is it possible not to like get a deer or something like that to stick its nose in? He's like, well, it's like they're not attracted to that scent. And I was like, well, what scent are you using? He goes, Chanel No. 5. I kid you not. Chanel No. 5.
Because that's what I was first thinking. It was like, okay, I get you want to stick the nose there, but it's like,
how do you get him to stick it in there?
How do you get him to stick his nose? I mean, they're naturally curious critters, so they're gonna check things out and be cautious.
And you know what his solution for bobcats were to get them to trap over a certain area?
Old Spice.
No, that's fair. That's fair. I would have gone there too. No, a CD. Like cats are curious, but he would hang a compact disc for those younger kids listening. That's a round silver disc like thing that we used to, old people used to think of it almost like a DVD, but you don't even have that anymore. But yeah, he would hang that,
just reflecting movement. Sure.
Reflecting movement. And he went, wow, what the heck is that? Goes over there and crap, got my foot stuck in a trap.
Right.
That's the last time that'll happen.
It's funny. It's funny to listen to trappers and people who go out there and the different little little hacks that they do.
Oh yeah. That just comes with experience, and you know this. Yeah. And hey, we are going to jump in here real quick with a word from our sponsors. But first, we're going to talk on the other side about speaking of just years of being in the field and gaining experience on products that work, products that don't work, and what's Matt Johnson's turkey season look like coming up. So all that on the other side of this break. This episode is brought to you by Ruger. Ruger.com. Go visit them. Check them out. Okay, so here's just a quick tip for you that can really help you advance your kids in the youth season. One thing I like to do is get a gun that kind of mirrors what they will use. And Ruger's got a great one in the Ruger American 22 long rifle. It comes with a long range target, a woodstock compact standard, or a target version. So get a setup similar to what they'll be using. So obviously you're going to get them a Ruger American to hunt with, available in a lot of different configurations and calibers. But start them out with 22. If you get them on the range, they get comfortable with that 22. Picking up that Ruger American will be a breeze. So find them at Ruger.com. And Leupold has the new CDS system. I guess it's kind of not new, but it's definitely one way to make your hunt easier. It's their, what is it? It's their CDS. It's their custom dial system. So basically what you do is you get your gun dialed in. So you got your Leupold scope. And you go in, you input all your information. So what load you're using, what range you're using, your barometric pressures, everything, all the diagnostics of what you're doing. You send that into Leupold, and they send you back a custom dial tuned to that rifle. So what do? You go in, you put that dial on, and now 1 means 100 yards, 2 means 200 yards, 3 means 300 yards. You see where I'm going with this, right? So it makes it a lot easier so you don't have to do all the math, whether it's mils or MOAs or whatever you want. So this is a really easy system to use. You can find out more at Leupold.com. All right, welcome in, Gun Talk Hunters. We're back with Matt Johnson of the Gun Talk team. And hey, if you don't know, like, comment, subscribe, leave us a comment for this channel, wherever you listen to this. It sure helps out the channel. And if you aren't familiar, go to guntalk.com. We have a bunch of videos on there. It's all free content, but go over there, sign up for our newsletter, sign up. And hey, we've got a new giveaway that launched the other day. So definitely go check that out. That's guntalk.com/win. For a chance to win a Ruger Wrangler. It's pretty sweet. Matt, let's talk gear since we're talking gear.
Yeah.
What worked for you this year? What didn't? I want to know what didn't, because that's well,
actually, I was thinking about it because one of the times you and I talked back in Oh man, it was early fall. I had mentioned we got talking about backpacks and packs and whatever else, and I had picked
Yeah.
up a new pack from Lone Wolf, and man, it turned out to be everything I was hoping it would be. Um, and it was just—it's not large, but it's not a fanny pack, but it's not a
Yeah.
full-on backpack either. It worked great, and I was the most pleased with that because of how conveniently I was able to get in and out of it all the stuff I needed.
Yeah.
I've been two things I've been really anal about in the last few years now is one is finding the right pack to take with for all my seasons. And the other one is the right optic to put on the gun for where we're hunting
Yeah.
here. Um, I've never been a guy who's hunted much west, but I've really started to get the right optic to go western and go a little longer, but also having a low power optic for the guns here, especially as my kids come into hunting and I'm
Right.
getting guns properly set up for them. So um, I would have to say the one that didn't work for me this year was the stupid doe decoy because it didn't stop the buck for my son.
You hunted over a
uh,
decoy?
I actually we stopped with a decoy. So we were on private ground, and my son and I were sitting in the stand in the morning. We saw a nice young buck come out of the corn, bed down in a big grassy flat, and the wind was in the right direction. And I watched him lay down, and we get out of the stand and went back, grabbed breakfast. And I looked at my son at about 10:30, and I was like, he's going to be there all day. And I'm like, the way the wind's blowing, I'm like, he's not going anywhere. So let's go put a stalk and see if we can't get this done in the middle of the day. I'm like, we have plenty of time to do other stuff. And the weekend was only going to get warmer from then on out. So we grabbed a 2D printed decoy, doe decoy, and we set out. And long story short, we hiked. By the time we trudged down and back and around, it came out to just over a mile. We got within 20 yards of him, and he jumped up and ran dead straight away. So my
How
doe
close were
decoy.
you having to get? What were you
Well,
shooting?
so he's shooting a muzzleloader,
Okay.
and I had it. My son's 12, and so I had a shooting stick, and I had him set up. But the issue was the grass was about waist high, and
Okay.
so I could just see his tips of his antlers moving when he was laying down. And so I was like, I want to get close enough to set up because the wind was blowing about 20 miles an hour. And when you've got dry corn and wind, it's noisy. So we got close. And by the time I got him set up and I made some grunts and calls to get the deer to stand up, I mean, it was cool because we got to 20 yards. We were disappointed, but
Yeah. You want to
he
know
didn't
what?
care that the decoy was there.
Really?
No,
He
he
didn't
got up
care.
and no, he didn't. He got up and bolted out because, I mean, he was probably a 1.5, 2.5 year old deer. And I just bellered at him and I'm sure he was like, nope, I've had my ass kicked enough. I'm out of here.
Yeah. You know what? You know what? You've educated him. That's for sure.
Well, we did do that, but it was a good experience. My son, I mean, we don't get to stock a lot of whitetails in Minnesota,
Yeah.
and so it was a lot of fun that way. But
Yeah.
in all seriousness, no, what didn't work for me this year.
I will say this: if you're trying to get a
tail.
deer to stand up, you know what will really work. So if you're in position, and he's like, if your son or whoever you're hunting with is on the gun, you go, okay, aim about, from where the corn is, aim about 6 inches higher than that, and just get ready. You stand up, you say, hey, and then right when that thing stands up, shoot.
Yeah.
Just stand up and say, hey.
Understand?
It's worked for me quite a few times.
Yeah, it educated myself a little bit too. But it was all in all, it was a good time. We all learned a lot and whatnot else.
Well, sneaking up on a whitetail is tough to do because their senses seem to be just absolutely enhanced, and they're hyper aware. Anytime they go off the hoof, they're super sensitive and very aware of what's going on in their surroundings. There's a reason they laid there, because I mean that's just it.
Well, and the thing is, 2 years prior, my son and I were sitting in the same stand for an afternoon sit on the same hunting weekend, and we watched a nice big deer stand up out of that grass, get up and walked into the cornfield on a windy day again. So when I saw him walk out and lay down, I'm like, I know what he's doing. This deer is going to lay down and just stay all day. And if we come back tonight thinking we're going to shoot him, it's never going to happen, because from the stand, he was about 200 yards out. I'm like, he's simply going to get up and walk into the cornfield out there. He's not going to come back towards us. So,
man, 200 yards, 200 yards, man. I'll tell you this much. So one of the products that was launched this year, and I've shot it at a range day, nothing other than that. So I don't own one, and they are not a sponsor, but I hear really good things about the CVA Paramount. Like, so if you're talking 200 yards for a muzzleloader shot, that's the one to do it with, because that sucker is dialed.
It is. I got to shoot that one as well. I would 100% agree. And it had more to do with, again, I was talking about optics is where I'm dialing into. And it just, there's just a lot of things. And he's a better shot now, but I agree. That's one gun, muzzleloader in particular, that
he could do it. Like
he could easily do it.
And I think you can get him in 45 and 50 caliber, and it would definitely handle it.
Yeah, for sure.
So I guess you got a new toy in, and we try on Gun Talk Hunt, we try to give listeners an unbiased view of products that work, products that didn't. And we try to let people know, like, hey, the company sent us this product because we do work in the firearms industry, and we do get products like that in for review, or we do a write-up or whatever, or we feature it on a show. But we try to give everybody man, this was sent in, or, we try to like keep it up on the level.
Correct.
Correct. What'd you get in?
So at SHOT Show, the Hawk Optic Company, it launched a new turkey-specific scope. It's called the Vantage IR Turkey Scope, and it's a 1-4 by 20. And the idea behind it is got massive eye relief. So as I was just talking about, for youth hunting season here in southern Minnesota, my son uses a muzzle loader. We're talking less than 200 yard shots. Yeah. So 1-4. But then at the same time, the optic is built for turkey season. So it's got a red reticle in the middle and then a T. So it's super illuminated, nice, bright. I'm excited to put it on the turkey gun, and more so because now in the past, I've shot turkeys off iron sights of my shotgun. I've had, just a reflective sight on it. My son has always had a reflective sight or just a low, just a standard like 2-power optic on it. I'm excited to put it on the gun this year, so then we both can go afield and carry one gun, because the eye relief is such that I can mount it, and whether he pulls up on it, and he's 12, whether he pulls up on it or I pull up on it, no matter where we mount our cheek weld, we're both going to be able to see a full field view of picture. Yeah. And the way the turkey loads are now with 20 gauges, I have no problem shooting out to 50 yards. And I mean, 50 yards is, a decent shot, but the turkey loads are good enough to kill a bird that far out. And you put guys are out there.
Guys are out there killing them with 410s, and that's what I want to do. Because I bought a Stevens, I think it's a 110, Stevens 101 or a 110. I forget the model number, but it's a single shot 410, and I've got a little red dot on top.
Yep.
Such a cool little gun.
It is.
But with the TSS loads, and the great thing about those like Stevens guns is they're not that expensive. I mean, I think
No, they're not.
I think I paid maybe $179 for it, $200 maybe.
For a single shot like that, yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
And my son we carried last year, we carried the Super Black Eagle 3 and 20 gauge.
Oh, yeah.
It was sweet because it was super light and handy, and he carried it the whole time. And so I'm looking forward not only for turkey season, but then to flip it around and put it on his muzzleloader for next fall, because 1-4 is really all he needs. I mean, if a deer does stand up at 150 yards, I turn it to 4, he'll be just fine at that distance. And it's super lightweight, it's super compact. And so I was just really intrigued that when I saw it at SHOT Show, I'm like, I really want to check this out, because again, it's one of those applications with my kids coming up that I can see this being a multi-purpose optic where I can put it on the top, shotgun on the spring, and then flip it over to his muzzleloader in the fall and be set for him.
You're talking about like being a more efficient hunter. Like that's what you're talking about. You should just,
I am.
So here's what you should do is if you like the Hawk optic in turkey season, you're like, oh yeah, this is definitely going to go over. You just need to buy another one. You need to buy another one. And then that way then you don't have to do the switcheroo, and that can always stay mounted.
Candidly, I probably will. It's probably what I will do. Because I don't like doing switcheroos, but it's a 20 mil. So it's a real tight tube. And so it's just an odd ring, so it's like, so once you find something, but so I got that. Really just came in this week.
I'll tell you one that didn't work for me this year, and it's my camera tripod. Now, the company did right, and they replaced it, and they got it fixed, but the Bog tripod,
head,
it's
right?
Do what?
It was the head that was not quite right.
Well, the head wasn't moving right, and it like the head was binding up, but also one of the carbon fiber legs just sheared off. Now it must be said, that I'm very hard on equipment.
Yes,
because I mean, it went everywhere with me. I mean, it's been in Colorado, it's been in British Columbia, so it's been all over the continental U.S. So,
right.
I mean, it is a good piece of equipment. I had it for maybe a year and a half, but one of the legs just fell off one day, and I was like, what the heck happened here? Like it just sheared off, and I was like, I don't know. So I called Bog, and they took care of it, and it was fine. It was covered under warranty, but it happened. It didn't help that it happened at a bad time. I'm heading out in the field, and I pick up the tripod, and the leg's is sitting there. So, but that's one piece of equipment that just didn't work for me this year.
Right.
I've been running they have some updated versions. So that's good to see.
So now your Bog, because the first time I ever shot off one was with you on our antelope hunt a couple of years ago. You got the saddle on top of that, correct?
Now the one that you shot off of was a different system. I thought I've got a hog saddle somewhere around here, but yeah, it was a pig saddle. Oh yeah, it's on the shelf behind me right there. There it is.
Oh, there it is.
But that's a different system, and I've been running that system for 8 years. But the problem is that companies like Bog are coming out, and Primos is coming out with a lot of new stuff too. But they're all integrating the Arca Swiss rail mount where you don't have to have a hog saddle.
Right.
You can just basically buy a plate for your gun, put it on there, and then you can run tripod. You can run your camera, your spotter, your gun all on one tripod.
Right.
So they're getting more efficient. They're getting lighter weight because that weighs the pig saddle weighs quite a bit. And if you don't have if you're not hunting in teams, it's very difficult.
Yeah, I started looking more at that after I shot off that one with you. I've started to seriously consider it again, trying to be more efficient. As I'm doing more, I'll say, guiding my kids now than I am actually hunting a lot myself. I'm trying to figure out how ways we can get in the field and be more mobile, because I love to mobile hunt, just get out and move around. And that Bog, that carbon fiber one, especially because of how light it is carry that stuff around, and how I can get that set up. And make it more efficient. So when we're on the move, I'm not reliant on my son just to be able to shoot offhand. I'm completely comfortable with it, but they're just not that age yet to shoot offhand reliably.
I don't like shooting offhand. And there's a reason why I don't like shooting. Can I? Yes, I can.
Right.
But the reason I don't like to is because I have a greater chance of doing right by the animal and making a precision shot than shooting offhand. If I can do anything not to shoot offhand, I'm going to do that, or I just won't take the shot. I think it was at FTW Ranch where they ran you through okay, your maximum range at seated, kneeling, standing, with support. And I found that unsupported in all of those positions, like, man, the less contact points you have, the shorter my range got. Like,
Oh yeah. Well,
yeah,
and not only just shorter your range, but the greater the variability of your shot. I mean, there's just so
yeah,
much that can go on. It's like we always talk about when you're shooting at distance, how much the wind and everything plays on the bullet. But when you have to shoot offhand, now the wind for archery guys all know this too, is that when you're
yes.
shooting, the wind is a bigger impact. And, when you're sticking a 20-inch barrel and, an 8-pound gun out there, that's
That's a lot
that's a
to
lot of
hold
movement.
and a lot to get into. And
Right.
my gosh, we have jumped all over the place. And
Yeah. So
we have, but it's hunting. It's talking hunting.
yep.
What does your turkey season look like?
I'm actually pretty excited. It should shape up pretty good. Turkey license actually go on sale here pretty soon. But last year I just got out for a long weekend with my son, but this year my daughter's like, she wants to get out too. So I will have probably 2 full weekends of getting out. So I'm excited for it. There's plenty of turkeys down because I turkey hunt on the ground. I bow hunt on, and there's lots of turkeys down there. If Now it's just a matter of let's play the weather and see where that falls out and that kind of thing.
So you say turkey tags go on sale here pretty soon. Minnesota doesn't have like any type of lifetime license or just a yearly and you buy it all beforehand?
So they do have a lifetime license, and it's a matter of should I just.
Yes.
Yes, they do have a lifetime license.
Okay.
Is all that can say.
Here's my advice to everyone. Get a lifetime license. In the state that you're currently in, get a lifetime license. So I made the grave mistake of so I have a Oklahoma lifetime license hunting and fishing, and that carries over with you if you move. So I'm in Louisiana now, still carries over, right?
Yep.
So I come to work for Gun Talk, and I'm like, man, I really probably should buy the boys hunting licenses, lifetime hunting licenses before. And I never got around to it. It sucks now because I have to buy their licenses, and I know that they would have already been paid off, with the amount of deer they're starting to kill.
Yep.
I mean, it just makes complete sense because I think a lifetime license was $720 for hunting and fishing. And you could start adding that up over the years. They would have thanked me maybe when they're 30.
Right. Yeah, it's for myself. That's always been the prohibitive aspect of it. It was lifetime license didn't come into play until, man, I think I was in my early to mid 20s, and at that time it was just man, what they wanted is licenses used to be less expensive, but I was it would take me a long time for me to actually cover that cost. But
then you don't have to think about it. You don't have to you go out and you just hunt. Now there are some. And you'd have to check your state regulations, your state laws. There are some additional tags that you can get. I think Oklahoma is an elk license or a bear tag.
Sure.
So yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, that was also me being a 30-year-old and thinking about my money. And it's I don't want to spend that much money. And it's now it's the convenience of that would be a lot easier to just walk in. And so with your lifetime license, you still have to go in and get a tag, right?
Everything is included.
Oh, see.
Everything.
Okay. See, that's not how Minnesota works. I've got a lifetime license, but I still have to go in and get the respective tag for the season I'm in.
No kidding. Oh,
yeah.
See, that would suck. Minnesota get it right.
It's not
Oklahoma's got it right.
It's okay, I can just go hunt. I still have to go in and get a tag. So now whether I give them a credit card and make a transaction, or I walk in and give them my license, they print it out and then give it to me, I still have to go in and get it.
Well, that sucks.
It does.
I mean, it's just, man, different states run it differently. That's for sure.
They do. So, how about you? What's your turkey season looking like this year?
Non-existent.
Okay.
No, I hope to get out a couple weekends. I might run up to Oklahoma, but I might be relegated to staying here around southern Louisiana. Maybe run up to Mississippi. That might be a good place to go. I might think about that. So, but no, it's all good stuff. I'm telling you what, between the 410 and my TC Encore, that's the the turkey version of that,
Yeah.
man, they're begging to get out. I love shooting turkeys.
I do too. Turkey season is one of my favorite seasons because for whatever reason, it seems a lot less pressure. For whatever reason, I've built up in my head, turkey season is a lot less pressure. I think it's because I know realistically, again, I mentioned earlier, I like to be mobile. Is I can hunt all day and get around. But at the end of it all, I love the interaction, the fact that I can call and hear back. And my son and daughter are both back into it because they know when they hear it, they know that, okay, dad's going to make a move and we're going to be able to get near it somehow. And at the same token, we all know there's a lot of turkeys around. It's just a matter of can we make it actually happen? And I don't know. Last year, we had 6 turkeys walk in, and it was the deal was going to go down until little Miss Doe walked 6 feet in front of us, and she noticed us and blew everything away.
Oh, that sucks.
So
the only time you don't want a deer to walk in front of you. That's it.
Right. It all blew up. My son was mad, and he turned. And then after it was all done, he turned around and he goes, "That was pretty cool, though. She was like right there, and I could touch her." I was like,
he should have. He should have just reached out there and just. I mean, because the hunt's going to be blown anyway.
Well,
might as well just touch.
It's exactly it.
That's the same thing I did in Alaska. I was like, well, I can't mess this up, so I got to. That's how I got to pet a fawn in Alaska, which was cool.
Right. It's right there. It's like
yeah, just reach out and touch it, and it put bad juju on my hunt the rest of the time. Don't tell them not to touch it.
There you go.
All right, man. Well, I appreciate you being on. We'll get you on again closer to season, and we'll go through a full turkey list, like what your recommendations are, because there's a lot of different turkey vests out there, and a lot of stuff you got to be aware of.
Yeah, and for all those thinking about turkey season now, start practicing your calls now. Not the day before you leave.
I'm already starting to mess with my elk calls now. So
absolutely, I've gotten a slate, so I start practicing.
Well, good deal. Well, you have a good rest of your day, man. Hey, all you gun talk hunters, you know the drill. Hey, keep those muzzles pointed in a safe direction, and always be on the hunt.